My name is Sarah Kate, and I'm your folk art and music teacher from the Hindman Settlement School. Today I want to share with you all about the music and stories from two places, Ireland and Scotland. So here we are in eastern Kentucky, and if you dove in the Atlantic Ocean and swam all the way up here, you'd land in Ireland and Scotland. And these two countries are real close together, and they're up here in Europe. Some of the very first people that immigrated to the U.S. and settled in this very region in Knott County and the surrounding area in eastern Kentucky were from Ireland and Scotland. Now when they came, they brought things like their music and their stories and their memories from home. And today I want to tell you some stories and songs that came from Ireland and Scotland. Well, this song is an Irish song called the Rattlin Bog, and it's got in a part for you. And your part goes like this. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And this song is about a bog. So what's a bog? Well, a bog is a place that's kind of like a swamp. And this song is about all the different kinds of things you would find at the bog. So here we go. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now in that bog there was a hole, a rare hole, a rattling hole, a hole in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now in that hole there was a tree, a rare tree, a rattling tree, tree in the hole, in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now on that tree there was a limb, a rare limb, a rattling limb, a limb on the tree, in the hole, in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now on that limb there was a branch, a rare branch, a rattling branch, branch on the limb and a limb on the tree, in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now on that branch there was a twig, a rare twig, a rattling twig, twig on the branch and the branch on the limb and the limb on the tree, in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now on that twig there was a nest, a rare nest, a rattling nest, nest on the twig and the twig on the branch and the branch on the limb and the limb on the tree, in the hole, hole in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now on that twig there was a nest, a rare nest, a rattling nest, nest on the twig and the twig on the branch and the branch on the limb and the limb on the tree, tree in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now in that nest there was a bird, a rare bird, a rattling bird, bird in the nest on the twig and the twig on the branch and the branch on the limb and the limb on the tree in the hole, hole in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Now in that bird there was an egg, a rare egg, a rattling egg. An egg and the bird and the nest on the twig and the twig on the branch and the branch on the limb and the limb on the tree in the hole, in the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Last time. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, oh, the Rattlin Bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Have you ever heard about fairies? Well, fairies are magical and mystical and sometimes mischievous creatures that appear in a lot of Irish and Scottish stories. Now, in a lot of Scottish stories, fairies would sometimes sneak into people's homes and steal babies from their families and replace them with a fairy child called a changeling. Now, this story I'm going to tell you now is about a tailor. A tailor is a person who sews clothes. About a tailor who is not fooled by the fairies and rescues the real baby and brings it back home to its mother. So I hope you enjoy this Scottish story called The Changeling. In Scotland, a long time ago, there was a mother who had a new baby boy. At first, he was very sweet and cuddly like all babies are, but after a couple weeks, the baby started crying and he didn't stop. All he did for days was scream and cry. Now, after several weeks of this, his mother was plumb worn out. And soon, the wheat in this mother's field grew golden and plump, and it was time to harvest. But no one would come take care of her crying baby, so she couldn't go harvest her wheat. Now, during this time, people didn't buy their clothes from a store. Instead, they made their own cloth from wool, and the traveling tailor would visit each village and make all the villagers' clothing. So one day, a tailor came to the mother's house to do some sewing for her. He felt sorry for the mother, and so he said, "You go join the harvesting. I'll stay here, and I'll watch your baby while I sew you a new dress." Well, the moment that poor mother was out the door, the baby started to scream. Now, the tailor was very wise, and he knew right away that this was not a real baby, but a changeling left behind when the fairies had stolen the mother's own baby. The wise tailor knew that a changeling would be able to understand his words, so he said, "Oh, hush your awful music, child, or I shall throw you into the fire." With that, the changeling child stopped crying, for it had understood completely what the tailors had said. He took out a set of bagpipes he had hidden in the cradle and began to play the sweetest music the tailor had ever heard. In the evening, when the mother came home from the harvest, the tailor told her everything that had happened that day. She could hardly believe her ears and was overtaken with grief. "But what should I do, and how shall I get my own dear baby back?" The wise tailor said, "Take the changeling and go to the river and throw him in. But don't worry, it's not a real baby, it's a changeling, a child of the fairies." So she walked to the river and threw the changeling into the fast-flowing water. As soon as the changeling touched the water, he transformed into an old gray-haired man and swam to the other side of the river. When he got to dry land, he shouted and shook his fists in the air and ran away into the woods to rejoin the fairies. The mother walked along the road home with her head hung low, but when she reached her cottage, she heard a little whimper from the cradle. And there she found her own dear baby, safe and sound. With a happy heart and her real baby in her arms, she made a fine supper for her and the tailor. And she even wore her new dress. Well, I hope you really enjoyed that story about the Scottish changeling who played the bagpipes. And right now I'm working on these two coloring pages that were designed by Jennifer Noble. Jennifer is an artist in Perry County, and she created these just for us. So I hope you'll color along with me as we learn more about the bagpipes. In that story, you heard the changeling play a Scottish instrument called the bagpipes. Now, I don't play the bagpipes, but my friend Jennifer from Carter County, Kentucky does, and she is our special guest for today's video.
Hi, hello. My name is Jennifer Guthrie, and I'd really like to thank you for having me in your homes and your classrooms. It really means a lot to me. I'm grateful for the opportunity, so thank you. I teach in Carter County schools in Kentucky. You can see I'm in my classroom with my smart board behind me. And my friend Sarah Kate let me know that she was going to be talking to you all about Scotch-Irish music and the influences in Appalachia, and folk stories and the folk tales of Scotland and Ireland. And I read the story that you guys read about the changeling who played the pipes. So I was excited to bring the pipes to you today and show you a little bit about the pipes, tell you a little bit about the pipes, and so you could see what they were talking about in the story when the changeling played the pipes. When you use the word pipes, you're generally talking about the great Highland bagpipes, which are out of Scotland. That's what these are. These are traditionally played in Scotland. There's other types of bagpipes in other countries, but the traditional pipes are the great Highland pipes out of Scotland. Okay? I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the mechanics of how these bagpipes work. These big long 3 sticks here, they're called drones. Okay? And air is going to come out of those drones and make a real deep sound. This is called a blowpipe. I blow the air into the blowpipe. When I blow the air into the blowpipe, you have this bag here. This is a hide bag, and it's going to fill up with air. When I push on the bag, the air is going to come out the drones, and it's going to come out the chanter right here. The chanter has the holes where I play the tune, okay? So one other thing I'd like to tell you is right here on the drones, right where they come together. Now I could pull those out, and when I do, if I did that right now, you would see a reed that looks similar to this. The air is regulated through those reeds. It's very complicated, actually. And then you have the chanter right here. You have a reed right here, which looks like this. It's a much different looking reed than the drone reed. Looks like that. Okay, so I'm just going to get to it and play you a tune or two. Let's see what we got here to play. Oh, it looks like we have a medley to play. A medley is a combination of tunes, and they're put into a combination of tunes that we call a set. So in this medley, there are 3 tunes, and so it's a set of 3 tunes. It's called Minstrel Boy, Bluebells of Scotland, and Noa Wada Badawa. Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful for you letting me come into your homes and your classrooms. And please, if you have any questions at all, let Sarah Kate know and she'll get them to me, okay? Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope you enjoyed listening to the music and stories of Ireland and Scotland. We're going to leave you today with a song called Katy Berry, and I want you to dance along with us. When you hear an animal, I want you to act like that animal. There's some cows and a pig and a cat in this song. You can purr like a cat, purr, and lick your paw. You can moo like a cow, moo. This song is called Katy Berry, and it's a Scottish song about a farmer, and she's got all different kinds of animals. And my friend Randy is playing the concertina with me on this song, and I hope you'll join us in dancing, and I'll see you next week. Well, Katy Berry had a cow, black and white upon its brow. Wasn't that a funny cow? Danced Katy Berry, diddly-di-di-di-di-di, 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 danced Katy Berry. Well, Katy Berry had a cat, it wore a fuzzy, fuzzy hat. Well, wasn't that a funny cat? Danced Katy Berry, diddly-di-di-di-di-di, diddly-di-di-di-di-di, danced Katy Berry. Well, Katy Berry had a pig, it would dance an Irish jig. Well, wasn't that a funny pig? Danced Katy Berry, diddly-di-di-di-di-di, 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 danced Katy Berry. Well, Katy Berry had a dog, it went jogging in the fog. Well, wasn't that a funny dog? Danced Katy Berry, diddly-di-di-di-di-di, 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 danced Katy Berry. Well, Katy had a crocodile, we have not seen